Hello everyone, my name is Zhu Feiping. Today I want to share with you a problem and my proposal innovation in education, which is the three-view drawing questions, especially in mathematics in middle school. As we can see in those two pictures, the three-view drawing is something about main view, left side view, and top view. Regarding this question, I've made a questionnaire, and let me show you what I've found in my questionnaire and the background of this problem. These days, though teachers have taught students many techniques about three-view drawing, there are still some students who cannot imagine the original object just depending on the given three-view. And based on my questionnaire, I found that many students today are still confused by three-view questions, and quite a lot of them lack the ability of imagination. At the same time, around 80% of them practice this ability just by imagining. Since they cannot imagine the original object by themselves, it is necessary to present the original object to them. Therefore, the 3D printing occurs to me, and I think it can be taken into consideration in the future. Next, let me show you the three questions I've selected from my questionnaire. First, did you have the problems with three-view when you were in middle school? We can see from this picture that around 20% of them said that they often had the problems with it. And around 47% of them said that they sometimes had a problem with it. So we can infer that quite a lot of people had a problem with three-view drawing when they were in middle school. The second one, what is the problem with you when learning the knowledge of three-view? Over 50% of people said that they cannot imagine the original object, which is something about space imagination. So we can say the fourth question first. In your opinion, what kinds of abilities are exempt by three-view questions? Over 90% people thought that it has exempt the ability of space imagination. So we can infer that because the students lack the ability of space imagination, they cannot imagine the original object of three-view drawing. The last question, based on your experience on study and work, do you think students are still confused by three-view today? We can say around 87% of people thought that the students today are still confused by the three-view questions in middle school. So that's the point we need to deal with. That's the problem we have to deal with, we have to solve. Let's say, what are the existing solutions about this phenomenon? The first one is teachers teaching. If we depend on teachers teaching, it is very easy to depending on teachers, and it is not good for improving the ability of students' space imagination. But it still has the advantage, which is we don't need actual materials. It is very easy and very convenient for teachers teaching and for students to learn knowledge. The second solution exists today is imagining by students themselves. But depending on my questionnaire here, over 50% students cannot imagine the original object. So that is the problem. That is the disadvantage of this solution. They cannot imagine the original object so that easy. But it also has some advantage too. If students try to imagine by themselves, it is very good for them to improve the thinking ability. So now let's take a look at the summary and diagram of this problem. The students in middle school are affected by three-view questions in mathematics. Because the lack of space imagination, they cannot imagine the original object, though there are some solutions existing. So it is better to have original object. So I propose my own idea that we can use 3D printing to print the original object and present the object to students. Here is my proposed solution. In my opinion, we can use a 3D printer to print the original object, and students can rely on the original object to draw the 3D view. Here are the advantages of 3D printing. First, it will inspire the interest in study. Because we don't usually use 3D printing in middle school, students may be curious about what is a 3D printer and how to use a 3D printer. It will definitely inspire the interest of students. And secondly, it will improve learning skills of students. Because teacher needs to tell students some useful skills, some skills about how to operate the machine. So at the same time, it will give the access to knowledge previously unavailable to students in middle school. Teachers teach students the knowledge about a new area. It will definitely increase students' and teachers' engagement. But at the same time, there are some constraints of a 3D printer. First, is the price. Compared with the normal printer, it is a little bit expensive. And secondly, it needs certain operating skills. If a teacher don't know how to operate the 3D printer, it can be a big problem. So we need to find some skillful teachers to teach the student how to use the 3D printer. And finally, is the limited material compared with a normal printer, which just needs some papers to print. The 3D printer needs specific materials. So I have analyzed the background of this problem. I made a questionnaire and I showed the problems in my questionnaire with you. I also analyzed the existing solutions and its advantages and disadvantages. I've proposed my solution, which is a 3D printer. But it also has some constraints. In my opinion, if we solve those problems of a 3D printer, maybe we can use it in the future in middle school, which can be contribute to the improvement of students' space imagination. So that's all my topic today. Thanks for your listening.